If all goes to plan, today is the day that we qualify for the Champions League knockout rounds once again. We just, if it doesn't go to plan, I give up. Hello and welcome to Club 6, part 50 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have a Champions League group game at home against Roma and then a La Liga game at home against Celta Vigo. Since you were last with me, this is what we've been up to. Loads of green. Still just solid green since the Bayern Munich game. Was that in an episode? I feel like that might have been in. I need to look back at my notes. That was in Saturday's episode, wasn't it? So, yeah, that's still the one blot on the copybook. Otherwise, that is a pretty solid season. Obviously, Granada as well are feeling pretty good about themselves around about now, I imagine. So first up is Roma. This is what our Champions League group looks like. Now, bear with me. This is Kev Maths again, but I'm pretty sure if we beat Roma, we go to 12 points. They remain on 7. And with Bayern on 7 and Stoya on 0, that means we qualify regardless of what happens in the other match. Obviously, if Roma beat us and Bayern beat Stoya, which they should, we could be going into the final game, which is against Stoya Bucharest, behind both of those two, but still with the possibility to top the group, I think. Complicated stuff. So that's the Champions League. La Liga, much simpler. We're absolutely dominating at the moment. Currently 9 points clear at the top of La Liga. Real Madrid are not the team they once were. They've already lost 3 of their first 12 games. We are yet to lose this season and have won 11 of our first 12 games. If we manage to mess up La Liga from here, then I think serious questions need to be asked. But we are very much the dominant force domestically in Spain. 3 La Ligas in a row and looking good for a 4th already. And it's still only November. But obviously, people will still consider it a failure if we don't go and win a Champions League as well. So this is a team we're putting out there to try and get into the knockout rounds of that very tournament. We've got Zielinski in goal. A back four of Ryback, Quito, Rigor and Serdic, Ramos and Ats in midfield, Hollis, Lorenzo and Kasongo supporting Llorente up front. Llorente has been playing pretty well. I think it was in the last episode we were talking about his form just dropping off a little bit. As you can see, he got a hat-trick against Barcelona in the match before last when we beat them 4-0 in the league. Can I just point out this season we've beaten Real Madrid 4-0 and Barcelona 4-0 in the league. If anybody is questioning who the big team in Spain is now, we're the big team in Spain, both financially and clearly ability and form-wise. So Llorente, off the back of that really, I know Perez got a couple of goals in the last league match, but Llorente gets the nod for a big game because he is officially the best player at the club, according to the little club thing, the key player thing, and best striker in La Liga, according to the media prediction thing on there. But I think we're very lucky in that we've got 2 of the best strikers in the world, and we're able to rotate them. And then Korkmaz is a thing that exists as well. Right, passionate. We can secure first knockout round. That's what we want to be doing. Let's get into the game, and fingers crossed, not make too much of a big deal about it. I know sometimes big Champions League games we've struggled a little bit. Even against Barcelona in the league, we had our typical sort of 25 shots which let us score 4 goals. The difficulty we always have when we come into Champions League games is we might only get 10 or 15 shots and then we find it a little bit harder to score. So it is these more solid Champions League defences that ruin us a little bit. But I'm hoping with the additions of Hollis, Llorente, Kasongo this season, it will be a different story in games like this. Kasongo with a cross, Hollis just over from that left-hand side. He is currently our top scorer in the Champions League, our highest average rated player in the Champions League, and our most top assist maker in the Champions League. Hollis is a Champions League player, it seems, having come from Southampton where he'd never played a Champions League game before. For his first season in this competition, he's taken to it like a duck to water, and there he is again, just slicing through the Roma team, but does shoot over from range, but now he's got the opportunity from a free kick. It takes a massive deflection and Quito actually gets onto the end of it to tuck away his first goal. I think that's his first goal ever for us. It's his first goal of the season, but I think it's his first goal for the club. A lot of luck, double deflection out the wall there, but Quito's first to react. That's what you spend £120 million on. And that puts us, as it stands, top of the group and qualified. 2 points ahead of Bayern. Roma back with a lot to do, knowing that they face Bayern Munich in that last game. I think they go there knowing they have to win to qualify with us. It's a difficult group. 3 very good teams in this group. And, we might not qualify from it yet because they've got an almost immediate equaliser. Oh, and obviously Bayern are going to get their win today because Steaua Bucharest aren't quite at the level of these other 3 teams in this group. Ryback should have done better there, really. Sort of slid in, committed himself, but didn't get the ball, leading to... gave their player all the time in the world to pick his cross. He picked it very well. And, questions to be asked of Ryback there. But corner from Hollis, it ends up with Ats, and then back across to Ramos. Ramos plays it to Quito, who's stayed very far forward from this corner. Llorente, who's dropped a long way back from the corner, finds Hollis. Total football going on at the moment. We're just rotating our positions around all over the place. Serdic with the cross, and it doesn't get to anybody, but Ramos is in with a crunching tackle in midfield, and Ryback collects the scraps, and we build again. All part of the same move through Horace, then Lorenzo, Llorente, and it's just over. We look very good when we're looking good. We just are a little bit susceptible to what we already saw happen. A slightly overcommitted fullback. It's the same old story. If you've been watching my videos for the last 3 years, it's always the same story. Oh, Kev's overcommitted a fullback. What do you know? It's just the way we like to play around these parts. I love an attacking fullback. Ats plays it to Ramos. We'd like a goal before half-time. We want to go in at half-time ahead. Hollis in a crossing position. Cross does come in. There's Llorente, and there's the goal just before half-time. A 7th of the season for Llorente. A 2nd assist of the game for Keith Hollis. And it's Sevilla 2, Roma 1, just on the stroke of half-time. And Hollis does really well here because he's left himself with... he's got quite a lot to do to get that into a crossing position. Their fullback just kind of left him to it, though, and he didn't need asking twice and just drilled that crossover for Llorente to tuck away. And now I feel like some justice has been restored. And actually, the shape of the game so far is looking a lot more like a La Liga game than a Champions League game. We've had as many shots in that first half as we'd normally get in an entire match in the Champions League. So perhaps Roma maybe aren't as good as they possibly could be. Although we looked at them when the groups were drawn, I'm sure we did, and I think they've won Serie A relatively recently. They're definitely a side that you wouldn't expect to just steamroller over, but we're finding this a little easier than we found the games against Bayern Munich, and that is outstanding from everybody involved. Lovely build-up play from Hollis. 3 assists today for Keith Hollis. Told you, Champions League player. Imagine being an England fan, having that youngster coming through. Lovely ball through to Llorente, who does brilliantly to beat 2 men and then stick it into that far corner. It took him a little while to get settled into life at Sevilla, but goodness me, is he looking like the best striker in the world now, which is, it's kind of what he is. He should never have gone to Portugal. Right, they're bringing Wonder Kids on, which seems a little unsporting in the situation. If they're going to do that, we might have to do that. Have we got any of our Wonder Kids on the bench? We tend to loan ours out. We've just got old men in the team now. And by old men, I mean like 23, 24. That's old men round here. Ramos to Serdic. Back to Ramos again. To Ats. To Ramos. Just keeping hold of the ball in midfield. Back to Rigo. To Ats. We're not going to give them the ball. That's the important thing here. Kasongo beats several men, finds Hollis, I thought he was going to get his 4th assist of the game because Llorente was in the middle waiting for his hat-trick. Hollis went for the shot, and I'd be furious if I was Llorente there. Kasongo with the corner. Llorente heads just over. And I think it's probably time to look at making some substitutions. Let's have a little look. Lorenzo, I barely said his name in the entire match, so that's an easy change to make. In fact, rather than bringing Benko on for him, I think I might switch to this and bring on Soto to play as the holding midfield player. Have we got a left back on the bench? We don't. We've got Bamba who can come on for Ryback though. So that's a couple of changes. We got anyone else? We probably don't need to make a triple. Ramos we need to keep an eye on because fitness-wise, Ramos looks like he might be struggling a little bit. We don't really have a central midfielder on the bench though, because I guess Soto was the one and we've just brought him on to play at the base of the midfield. So Ramos might just have to get on with it. And I thought Llorente had just scored an incredible hat-trick, which would have been a 4th assist for Hollis as well. He hits the ball with such power. It's ridiculous. I need to get Ramos off the pitch, but I don't know who to bring on for him. Kasongo now chasing through. Kasongo forcing the save. We're playing very well today. This is the team I recognise from playing domestically. I hope this is the sign that we're now going to start playing like this in Europe. Although we've seen ourselves not really struggle with the groups for the last couple of years, but then we get into the knockout rounds and get nosebleeds. I'm going to take Ramos off, bring Benko on. And I think I might just do this. Stick him there. That feels like that should work. Right, let's see if it does work. I mean, if that does work, we don't have a lot of central midfielders depth past the ones who usually start for us. So if we can play the likes of Soto and Molina there in a system like this, then that seems like that should work. Kasongo now charging through, but gives the ball away, then wins it back immediately. It's Llorente still looking for that hat-trick, and he's got it, and he's just an outstanding striker. We knew it when he used to play against us. Imagine how different things could have been if we'd have been able to sign him back when we wanted to. We first wanted him like 3 seasons ago, but it shows how far we've moved on as a club, and people talk about me wrecking the club financially. 3 years ago, we couldn't afford Llorente. We've expanded the horizons of the club through some clever transfer dealings and increased prize money and TV money and stuff and sponsorships. There is more money floating around in the club now. I know our current bank balance doesn't look too clever, but actual money flowing through the club is much greater, which means we're allowed to afford players. I mean, he's the 5th most expensive player we've bought in the last year. And 3 years ago, we couldn't afford to buy him as our one and only signing. So that, to me, feels like progress. I am very happy with that result. That has qualified us for the next round. And now, hopefully, we'll go up and pick up another league win in the next game. Let's just have a look at the groups just to confirm. Stages. There you go. Qualified. What's Q1 mean? Oh, does that mean they've already qualified as top of the group, whereas we don't have a position confirmed yet? Interesting. Well, there we go. Let's go play a league game. Here's a question for you. How has an English manager of a record like this never been offered the England manager's job? 300th game in charge of Sevilla. Little career recap. Great success at Sevilla. 3 league titles, 3 cup competitions. Apparently I signed more German players than Spanish players. Not sure how true that is if we have a look at the squad. Have we got nationality on there? No. German. Neither. Spanish, but I didn't sign him. Neither. Spanish. So in our first team, I don't know, I would say we don't really sign many. We've signed Brazilians more than anyone. I don't think we necessarily favour Germany, but recapping the career, Forest Green and Bristol Rovers are just footnotes on the career now, barely get a mention. St Albans for 2 years, then Fulham for 3 years, Hamburg for 3 years, and we've now been at Sevilla for 6 years, but have won La Liga 3 times, the Copa del Rey, and the big one, the Super Copa, twice. Career achievements, shortlisted for the Vanarama National League South Manager of the Year on 2 occasions, won Premier League Manager of the Year at Fulham, Bundesliga Manager of the Year running-up, but did win the Bundesliga Players Manager of the Year, and the Liga Manager of the Year on 4 occasions. So I have Manager of the Year awards from the Premier League, the Bundesliga, and La Liga, and I've never even been linked with the England job. How? How is that a thing? Who's England manager? How do we even see? Philip Cocu is England manager. He's been England manager for 3 years. So they could have offered me the job in 2032 after I'd won my first La Liga Manager of the Year. But no, instead they decided to take the manager of Sassuolo, who previously had managed Fenerbahce and PSV. Am I too big for the England job? So back in the league then, which means big changes, much rotation, and the only players who've stayed in the team, I think, are these 3. We basically started again from scratch. So Gomez in goal, a back four of Bamba, Quito, Rigor and Serdic, O'Neill and Soto in midfield, Korkmaz, Benko and Lorenzo. Oh, Lorenzo, of course, moved over from there to there. And Perez is going to play up front. And fingers crossed, this heavily rotated team still has enough about it to be able to beat Celta Vigo. I mean, to be honest, looking at that team, if you'd have offered me that a year ago, it would have been an improvement on where we were a year ago. So it should it should be plenty to get past Celta Vigo. But I guess we're about to find out, aren't we? Lorenzo from the corner. O'Neill is fouled. Was that in the area or on the edge? I think that might have been just on the edge of the area. We've got a free kick just on the edge of the area. It's Lorenzo to take. He doesn't get the opportunity to take those free kicks very often anymore because Hollis usually takes them, or Kasongo. And that's why, because Lorenzo just fired it straight into the wall. But we do get a corner from it. It's Lorenzo to take. Still less than 2 minutes into this game. And Quito to O'Neill. O'Neill back to Rigor, and now it all kind of just dies down a little bit. A little bit of moment of rest and relaxation while we go back and rebuild another wonderful attacking move, which hopefully we're going to get right now. Bamba with the throw. Korkmaz does brilliantly to find Soto. Soto hits the frame of the goal and the rebound bounces to Lorenzo, tucks it away. We're going over to the little telly. There's no need. The linesman didn't have his flag up. If the linesman doesn't flag, why are we going to the little telly? Because, yeah, exactly. The linesman thought it was fine. Trust your linesman, you horrible referee. Soto, I mean, that's a stunning effort. And Lorenzo probably was offside looking at the replay. But who cares? Because the goal has been given. And as things stand, that keeps us 9 points clear. Real Madrid must have won their game or are winning their game. I think they played yesterday, though. Soto to Korkmaz. Korkmaz plays Lorenzo in, and Lorenzo looking for his second of the game. He enjoys playing out on this right wing. He's gradually getting better at it. It's handy to have a player who can play in multiple positions in this three behind the striker, because in real life that's what would happen, but positions seem to be a little bit less fluid in Football Manager. So if even the example of wingers and wide midfielders, sometimes you have someone who's a great winger but can't play on the right hand side of midfield. Could play on the right wing though. What? Doesn't make any sense. In real life, they can do both. Lorenzo with the free kick. That's a much better effort than his one earlier in the game. And we go in at half time, 20 shots deep, but only 1-0 up. Again, one day we'll put work ball into the box on 20 shots, only 5 of them on target. We just shoot from range a lot. That's why we score some of these spectacular goals. But luckily, we have so many shots that some of them fly in occasionally, and it doesn't affect us. We just paper over those cracks. Let's pretend there's no deeper issues that need resolving. We've gone down the Kev route of just get the best players, and then it doesn't matter if you're not very good at managing or tactics, because they're the best players, so they're probably going to win more games than they lose anyway. And that's always been my way of playing Football Manager. Just collect the best players in the world, and then you don't have to worry about tactics. Right, Perez isn't playing particularly well. I want to get Korkmaz up front, so I think I'm going to bring on Hollis rather than Llorente and stick Korkmaz up front just to give him some time up there. He hasn't had the opportunity to play up front all season, I don't think. I realise I normally would make 2 substitutions there. Can't possibly break the habit of a lifetime and only do 1. I'm looking really at fitness more than form, and I think we're going to take off Serdic and bring on Annan to play at right back, just because he played the whole of the game in the Champions League. So let's give him a little bit of a rest towards the end of this one. Similar principle for Rigor and Quito, but they just seem to have relentless energy. They never seem to get tired, although they are tiring a little bit. Benko can be the last man to come. In fact, I want to leave Korkmaz on, but he's not playing very well. I'm going to bring Kasongo on for Benko and stick Lorenzo back into the middle, and we'll do that. And then I'm a little bit worried that we're only 1-0 up and they've got the ball, and I'm there fiddling around rotating players, and actually we could probably do with a second goal around about now. So I'm going to ask them to just push on a little bit. I think we'll ask for get creative as soon as we get the opportunity to, because I don't want them to think they're not playing well. We are. Here's Korkmaz in behind. Korkmaz straight at their keeper. And then didn't really know what to do with it from there. O'Neill finds or tries to find Bamba, and actually Bamba doesn't quite get there. We are playing with 4 centre backs at the moment, which has an impact on our attacking fluidity. We've got 4 centre backs and a defensive midfielder playing out of position as well, and a defensive minded central midfielder. So we're not the most attacking setup at the moment. But that being said, they've just got behind us. Gomez makes the save, though. Gomez is pressured by me asking the rest of the team to be creative. Don't get me wrong. We don't want you to be creative in goal. Just do normal goalkeeping. The rest of the team worry about creativity. There we go. A very tame 1-0 win. But the important thing is it is another win and another example of us winning when we weren't playing particularly well. The sign of a good team. Right, when are we going to be back? So we've already qualified in the Champions League, so we can get through the winter break. And in fact, should we get through most of... We've got to come back for Real Madrid, haven't we? So we'll come all the way through for there. Real Madrid, Las Palmas, and then we should also... Well, we will know by then who and when we're playing in the Champions League knockout rounds as well. So back tomorrow for Real Madrid, and we'll figure out the rest from there. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.